To show you how to do the color design grid project that we're going to be working on. So the first thing you need to do is open Illustrator. You can do that by going to the cloud here and then just click open. So I'm going to do that. And then that will bring up this window here. I'm going to just hide that so I don't see it. And I want to create a new file. So I'm going to go here. And I want to make sure for this project, I want my artboard is what they call your canvas. It's in Photoshop they call it a canvas. In Illustrator it's called an artboard, basically what you're working on. And I want to make an artboard that's 10 by 10 inches. You can also work in different measurements like pixels, points, picas, all these different things. I don't think we need to really use that unless we're doing something really specific for like a magazine publication or something online. So we're just going to work with inches. You can also do centimeters if you're more comfortable with that. Let's do inches, and we're going to make a 10 by 10 inch artboard. We just need one artboard. If you were doing a pamphlet or some layout where there was going to be multiple pages, then you could set it to have multiple artboards, and that's kind of nice because then you can design all the artboards at the same time. You can have kind of an overarching design that runs from one to the other, but we don't really need to worry about that right now. We also don't need to have any bleed, which means that our image is going to go all the way to the edge of the artboard. Bleed is basically like a border. And so we want CMYK color. We want to have high pixels per inch because we're going to print these out. If you're only going to be publishing to a screen, then you can do 72 pixels per inch, or it's kind of in between. Maybe if you're going to be projecting it on something, but you don't need to print it out, 150 is usually pretty good. So let's do 300, and I'm going to create that. And then I have my artboard. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is create a grid on here. So I want to be able to see the grid. I want to be able to have some guidelines. So I'm going to go to View. Oh, first, before we even do that, let's do this first. Go to Window, and I want you to change your workspace to Essentials Classic. That's what I'm going to use. I think it's the best one because you can see a lot of the different tools that we're going to be using. They're just right there on your kind of on your window. So change your window to, or your workspace to Essentials Classic under Window, Workspace, Essentials Classic. Then go to View, and we're going to turn on the grid, and we're going to turn on all of these snap to grid, view, snap to pixel, view again, and snap to point. You can also see that there are keystrokes here. If there's certain things that you use a lot, then keystrokes are really nice to know as well. All right, so I want to make all my lines snap to a grid or a pixel. So that's how I can make sure that everything's going to be straight. All right, so the first thing I want to do is get my pen tool. That's right over here. So just click on that. And I'm going to start by clicking. I'm going to make 2-inch squares, just like we did for the black and white project. And each of these squares is 1 inch. So I'm just going to do kind of click on the corner here, go down, and it's like the line is snapping right to where I want it to. And I'm just going to click there. Now I need to come off a little bit like that, and it wants to keep drawing. To stop it from drawing, I'm going to hit the Command key right next to Shift, or right next to the space bar, sorry, and I'm just going to click again, and then that gets me out of that drawing. All right, so I'm going to do that again. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I don't want that. So I just hit Command and click, and I got out of it. All right, Command, oops, click again, and then Command click. So it's click, click, Command click. Okay, I'll do my horizontal lines. All right, last one. Click and then Command click. All right, so now I have a 2-inch square grid. I don't want to see this grid anymore, so I'm going to go back over here and just hide all of this stuff. Hide that. And I'm not really concerned anymore about snapping to grids. So I'm going to take these off. These can be really, really handy, the snapping to tools, if you're trying to, like, you need something to match up exactly right. And we want to get, once we have the lines in there, I think it won't be very difficult to make our shapes match up. All right, so basically now what we're going to do is fill each of these squares. So with some kind of design using color. All right, so let's talk about shapes first. The shape tool is right over here. Each of these tools over here, if they have this little arrow in the bottom corner, it means that you can click and you can hold on it, and other tools there's other tools hiding underneath. So I want to start with my rectangle tool, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit just by spreading my fingers apart on the trackpad, and I'm just going to zoom in so I can see a little bit better. I'm going to start right on the corner here. You can see those pink lines pop up that tells me I'm right on the corner there, and I'm just going to click and drag, and I'm going to fill up that space there like that. All right. Right now, it just looks like a white box with a black edge. And I can tell there's a couple different ways I can change that. First, I could go up here. This is one reason I like the Essentials Classic view, is because it has this stuff at the very top, and this top part of the window has a lot of the tools up there. So I'm going to click that, and I want to make, this is my fill color, which means the color that's going to fill the object. So let's say I want to make that whatever this kind of turquoise color is. Just click that. And right now, my shape has a black outline. I want to get rid of that. And so I'm just going to click none. I don't want any kind of outline. And you can see that goes away. All right, once I get my selection tool and click off of that, then I can see that without any sort of selection tools. I can see that it's a little bit big for that space. I'm going to try to zoom in here and see if I can make that just a little bit, you know, kind of fit right in that corner. I think that's kind of annoying. So, all right, now I'm zoomed in super tight, so I can either just use my trackpad, or you can also use, excuse me, you can also use Command minus and Command plus. Okay, so let's make another shape. I want to make another square. This time, so I'm going to click off of that. This time I'm going to decide my color first. Another way you can decide color is by clicking these boxes over here. So I'm going to double click that, and it opens this color picker tool. So I like this a lot because I can just slide this up and down this rainbow here, and I've got all of these different colors, but I also have all of the different values, you know, the tints and shades of that color as well. So I can, you know, pick pretty much any color in the rainbow that you can think of. You can find it in there somewhere. All right, I kind of like this lilac color. I guess I'm going with kind of a cool color scheme here. And I'm going to click, whoops. Don't like what that did. That's because I wasn't on my rectangle tool. All right, I'm going to click, and I'm just going to make another rectangle within that rectangle. It gives me that pink line to let me know that I'm perfectly square. All right, and then, oh, but didn't make it the color I want, so I'm going to go back in there. I think it's because I had the object selected, and I'm going to make my purple, I like that color. All right, so that made it that color. All right, and then just going to keep going. You could make kind of, you know, like a tunnel kind of thing. Keep going with smaller squares. Let's look at a different square, and we're going to make it a different kind of design. I think for this one, I'm going to start with a green square, and I'm just going to make that my background here. And then I want to make some more irregular shapes and circles. So I can use if I go over here to the shape tool, click and hold, and find me ellipse tool. And I can use this one to make circles. So make like a different kind of green. Oops. It accidentally changed that one. Let me make my circle first. It's probably easier to do it that way. All right, and then I can select it and choose a different color for it. All right. All right, so that's how to make ovals. Let's see. Now, if I want to make more irregular shapes, I have to do that with the curvature tool. So I like to do this kind of off the canvas. One nice thing about Illustrator is that it gives you a lot of empty space around here that you can kind of play around in, and then make things and then drag them into your artboard. So I'm going to start by I'm just going to click, and I'm going to click again, and then as I move around, you can see how this creates a shape. Once I make the shape, if I want to, I can go back in here and I can add anchor points. And I can use these anchor points to move this shape around. I'm not doing that. All right, so I'm just gonna drag this thing onto my canvas. Well, first let's make it a different color. Let's do that here. I'm gonna stick with the green monochromatic color scheme and move that there. All right, let's say that I want to see my oval shape through the green shape. When I have this selected, I can go to opacity and I can make this less opaque, and that way I can see shapes underneath, which is kind of nice. Okay, so that's really pretty much it. You can play around with a lot of different things on here, but making the grid, so making an artboard, making it a specific size, using the pen tool to make the grid, so using the grid and the snap to tools, and then creating different designs using different colors, the shape tool, the curvature tool, and just playing around with all of those different really basic drawing and coloring things that you can do in Illustrator. Now, please be conscious of composition. Always be thinking about the elements and principles. And for this project, since we're working with color, I want you to have a color scheme for each of the squares. So it can be monochromatic, it can be analogous, you can do secondary, tertiary, triad, primary, split complements. I want you to have at least 3 colors in each square. And I want you to have a very specific color scheme for each one, warm and cool, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You should try probably lots of different ones. And you're just going to create a design in each of these squares using color and using the different shape and drawing tools in Illustrator. All right, so that's the tutorial, and I'm anxious to see what you guys come up with. All right, have fun.